move away from the coronavirus. Now, our thoughts are very much with those suffering and who have sadly passed away from COVID-19. However, spare a thought for those who have rare conditions who, as a consequence of the pandemic, have been largely forgotten about. Now, one of those is 8-year-old Hasti. She has the condition CDLS. Hasti's dad, Chris, and mum, Henga May, are with me on the programme now. So let's start off with Chris this afternoon. Chris, lovely to have you on the programme. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. This is a condition that's so rare. I haven't heard of it. So tell us a little bit about it.
So CDLS is really rare. It only affects a very small number of people in the UK, and it's caused by a single gene mutation, which is random. So it's something that can happen to any child, any family. But the good news is that thanks to advances in gene therapy, which have happened in the last few years, that it's now possible to treat it. But the problem we have is that we're trying to raise the money to get there, but it's just a huge sum of money that we can't raise as a family.
Just tell us a little bit more about your little girl and how this is affecting her at the moment.
So when Hasti was born, I think was probably the most difficult time, and Henk may can talk about that a bit more maybe. Hasti wouldn't eat for the whole of her first year of life, and she was in and out of hospital dozens of times. If I'm honest, it was touch and go at a few times. We thought we might lose her. And it affects her ability to learn, her cognition. It causes seizures and all kinds of other difficult things.
It's such a huge adjustment, isn't it? Because, of course, having a new baby is a big enough challenge. When you're having to deal with a condition that's so rare that you don't know where it's going to go, and these various issues that arise as a result, that must have been so hard for you and your wife.
It was incredibly hard, and it's been a hard 8 years, but we just had to soldier through as best we could. And the really unfortunate thing is that in the very near future, so from puberty, the condition gets worse, and things like depression, anxiety can lead to self-harming and mutism. So kids just stop talking, stop wanting to go outside. And Hasti dreams of being a chef now, and the thought of that changing if we can't find a treatment is just terrifying for us as parents.
So she sounds like she's got lots of hopes and dreams for the future, and I would imagine, despite all these health issues, she is your pride and joy. There's a lot to celebrate, isn't there?
Yeah, she's a really joyful little girl. She loves going to scouts and riding her bike and swimming and dancing. She does ballet. She's a really happy girl, but that's why it's so worrying when we look at what the future holds. And we've been working really hard for the last 8 weeks to try and raise the £400,000 we need to treat her. And we raised over £100,000, but since Corona hit, everything just dropped off a cliff edge and stopped overnight.
And actually what we're going to do in just a moment is there's a really straightforward way that people can help get towards that total with a very small donation. That's the idea, isn't it?
Yeah, so we have a GoFundMe page which people can find. It's called Hope for Hasti, which is spelled Hasti, and people can go there and they can watch a video to see about our story and read about what we've been through and help contribute towards that. And people have been so generous. I mean, we didn't know. We're a really private family. We spent all Christmas worrying about what we should do to try and help Hasti, and sacrificing our anonymity and going public with this was a big step. But the help we've had from people has just blown us away. People we've never met before who have given so selflessly of their time and money.
And actually, it's not just Hasti that this could potentially help. Other children with her condition could also be helped if this gene therapy is successful.
That's right, yeah. So the gene therapy could be used for everyone who has the same faulty gene as Hasti. So if we get there, this will not just help her, but lots and lots and lots of other kids across the world and forevermore.
Just remind us then how people can, we'll talk to Hasti herself in just a moment and also to her mum, but just a reminder of how people can go and help you with these efforts, because it must have been so hugely frustrating. I mean, you are somebody who is very involved as an army officer in efforts to deal with the coronavirus, but it's very much pushed your campaign that was doing so well to one side.
Yeah, and that's really true. I'm busier than ever at work because we're doing our best to support the NHS, but at the same time we're trying to keep our fundraising alive so Hasti can hopefully someday realise her dream of being a chef and living an independent life. So anything anybody can do to help, we would really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for joining us. Let's now talk to Henga May, and we'll talk to Hasti as well in just a moment. Henga May, just hearing this story and hearing what you have, as a family, have been through, it must have been so difficult for all of you.
Yes, Sarah, it's been really difficult. When Chris was talking about the first year, having a child with a rare disease, I was in a very, very isolated and lonely place, and Chris was in Afghanistan those days. And I remember going in and out of hospital, and even some of the family and friends thinking that I'm suffering from postnatal depression, and I'm making up stories about my child. So we've been through a lot.
It's so, because, we all, when we have our children, you kind of imagine how it will be. You look to their future. You don't imagine for a second that you are going to be dealing with conditions that you know not quite where it's going. But you, like any other mum and dad, what you're looking at now is a lovely future for your little girl and her dreams of being a chef. And she does sound like she has got a lovely personality.
She's a lovely, bubbly girl. She's really friendly. In a school, always we get a report that how kind she is. When she had no words, when she was younger, and she couldn't speak at all, which went on till the age of 5. Just to show her gratitude, she would pull somebody's hand and kiss their hands just to show that she is grateful.
You must, despite what you've been through, you must be such an incredibly proud mum, because Hasti's had more to cope with than an awful lot of children, and she sounds like she has done it in an incredible way.
Absolutely. She is more resilient than any other child I've seen. I have 2 more children. I have 2 boys, but she's just an incredible child.
Does she ever get frustrated with what she's had to deal with?
Oh, yes, a lot of times. When, for children like her, that they have limited speech and language, it must be a very frustrating place, because they have a lot within them that they can't put out and communicate.
Well, it's been a real joy to talk to you and to Hasti's dad as well. Let's leave the final word to Hasti herself, who's going to join. I think she's with you at the moment, isn't she?
Yes. I'll put it on a speaker so I can hear, maybe help her.
We'll speak to her. So Hasti, your mum and dad, they're incredibly proud of you, and just tell us, you would like to be a chef when you're older?
Yes.
Why is it that you like cooking, and that's your dream then? Do you do a lot of cooking at home?
Yeah.
So it's really good fun, and it sounds as well as if you've got lots of lovely friends and people that you help at school and people you help look after. Do you enjoy that, mixing with all your friends and your lovely family?
Yeah.
Well, it's so lovely to have you on the programme, Hasti, and we're really hoping that this appeal goes well. Really moving story there, and however little you can help. This was a big campaign. It's a rare genetic condition. I've not heard of it. It's called Cornelia de Lange syndrome, CDLS. It's the coronavirus has got in the way of Hasti's fundraising campaign to get that gene therapy. She has got a number of issues that could get worse as she gets older. She wants to achieve her dreams the same as we want for all our children, and there is that Just Giving Facebook page. Let's just very quickly see if we can go back to Chris for the reminder of how to get the details, how to get onto that page. Chris, just finally, how do we get onto that Just Giving page?
So if people look for GoFundMe, and our campaign is called Hope for Hasti, which is spelled Hasti.
keep us updated, won't you? It's a real pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the programme. So we had Chris and Hegmane and Hasti, the family there, who are hoping so much for some support with their campaign.
Call 0800 587 1046.
BBC Radio Surrey.